millions and millions of people around the world have undertaken a very strenuous, arduous and difficult exercise for a whole month. Of course, I'm referring to Muslims around the world. In excess of 1 billion people are fasting, staying up in prayers. Of course, you're consuming tons of dates, millions of samosas perhaps, and all the other activities we see around Ramadan. Huge activities in masajid, people going, coming in thousands, even in a city like Leicester. It makes one ask, all of this, why all this? What's the purpose? What are we getting out of it? Year in, year out, for many of us for decades, some less number of years, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with more Ramadans inshallah. But the question arises, what is all this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us through? Why? And of course we have learned over the last few weeks in some khutbahs about Ramadan, and I'm sure in masajid and from ulama and your own reading, we know that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done this is for one purpose, and that is to make us God conscious, more conscious of Him, or God fearing, another meaning of taqwa. Is that all? Yes, that is all. That's what He wants us to do and achieve. But are we achieving it? Do you think we are getting there? Do we feel that sense of improvement and that closeness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have already done 1 week of Ramadan. Or is it as in the hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, رُبَّ صَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعُ. A person may fast but get nothing from his fast except hunger. But our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, رُبَّ قَائِمٍ لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهَرُ. And one person may stand up in prayer during night, do qiyam, but get nothing from his qiyam except tiredness and fatigue. This is our Prophet ﷺ, famous hadith. Some places sleepless nights. So if you'd be right to just reflect and think and ponder, are we getting taqwa, developing taqwa? Inshallah we will all, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all grow in taqwa in this Ramadan. All of us, our families. Our siyam are accepted, our qiyam are accepted. They give us the blessings. Ya Rab. But that would happen also better if we reflect and understand what is this thing taqwa and why is it important, why I must try to achieve this taqwa from this exercise. Connect the two. If we do that, inshallah we will find it much, much more useful for us, for the ummah, and for humanity. Because if we develop taqwa, it will have a positive impact on this earth. Proper taqwa, because with taqwa is connected Allah's promise for victory for us. We should not be in such a downtrodden position, so helpless, around the world, so many issues, wars, economic crisis, hunger, starvation and thirst. I've been involved with charities. We keep building more charities, have live appeals every night on countless channels. Giving money, and it's very pious things to do. But we're not asking question, why the zillah and maskana? When Allah promises that His blessings will descend upon us from the sky and grow under our feet if we were to develop taqwa. So three things I would say. A beautiful explanation of taqwa which has come in, I think, one of the khutbahs earlier, is that conversation between Umar radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and Ubay bin Ka'ab radiallahu anhu. Two famous companions of Rasulullah. And Umar had the same issue. He asked Ubay bin Ka'ab, what is taqwa? And Ubay bin Ka'ab asked a rhetorical question. And he said, have you ever walked, Ya Umar, through a thorny path? He said, yes. What would you do if you were to walk through a thorny path? And he said, I would gather my cloak so I don't get entangled in the thorns on this path and reach my destination. And he said, Ubay bin Ka'ab radiallahu anh, that is taqwa. That is, that in this life, as we are stretched, our loyalties, our commitments, our priorities, in different directions. But as Muslims, our goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His pleasure, His Jannah. So we do not get entangled and compromise on that goal. What does that mean? Now the word taqwa itself has appeared. Taqwa and various derivatives of taqwa, no less than 250 times in the Quran. Nothing has been mentioned more often. 250 times taqwa has been mentioned. And every time it has been mentioned, there is some demand upon us. Some issue has been mentioned. Whole range of things. How do we, in fact, the whole book is a book of guidance for the muttaqeen, Huda lil muttaqeen, the second verse in Surah Al-Baqarah. And then there onwards, again and again and again, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida, how you should speak, what taqwa means in terms of our speech, what taqwa means in terms of how we behave in our relationships with our spouse, particularly our wives. 3 or 4 times Surah Al-Baqarah we all heard in Taraweeh mentioned 4 times about taqwa in issues of divorce and how we deal and with matters like that. In war with our enemies, اعدلوا وأقربوا للتقوى. Be just when you're dealing with your enemies. Let not your hatred of your enemies take you away from justice. And if you be just, هو أقرب للتقوى, that is the nearest thing to be God conscious, and so on and so forth. How we eat, how we distribute our inheritance, how we do many things in life. So these 240 times, I would say, as we are going through Ramadan, open the Quran and you would find what recalibration you and I have to do and should be doing to live a life of taqwa. In other words, gathering our cloak. And then we'll know where the thorns are, where we need to avoid, what we need to do on this path. 250 times. That's why it's called Huda lil muttaqeen, guidance for the God conscious. So this is the Quran, and why the final thing I would like to say, how Ramadan and fasting links with growing taqwa. What happens in fasting? It's all about awareness, isn't it? When we have stopped our basic desires for long hours for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, desires which people can't even see that we are doing something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that brings us closer to Him. That's first thing. Second, it creates resilience. In this gathering of the cloak, quite often we need sabr and istiqamat. So we are learning to control our desires. That's why fasting makes us muttaqi. And thirdly, of course, this fasting is in month of Ramadan, which is the month of the Quran. So we get closer to Quran to develop understanding and awareness of both Allah, His Majesty, His awe, His blessings, become grateful, become aware of the need for this taqwa, and become aware of the prize that awaits us, inshallah. So I would like to just pray to Allah and close on this, that we become more knowledgeable in how to live our life successfully to earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure in this Ramadan, and develop the qualities and recalibrate our lives, our social life, our economic, our money, how we earn, how we deal with our people, with relatives. All matters. Make a list and try to commit to some improvement and change that we commit to bring about, and ask Allah to help us to do that. Then we will have, inshallah, taqwa. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا إنه الغفور الرحيم.